For this year's research project, I chose the Moose Jaw Tunnels. I chose the topic because after I read the books and went to the tunnels, I always wanted to know more. What better way to do that than to do it for my Heritage Fair project? My questions for research were, what are and where are the tunnels? Why were they made? What is the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and how is it connected to the tunnels? Why are the Chinese connected to the tunnels? And lastly, has the government done anything to apologize to the Chinese involved? On January 2nd, 1882, Hamilton Ross, Hector Sutherland, and 3 other men arrived in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. They were looking for a place for the Canadian Pacific Rail lines to be built. They later decided that Moose Jaw would be a good place, as it had a water source for the steam engines. As a result, the Canadian government brought Chinese who were trying to escape the poverty in China over to build the rail lines. The tunnels were built from the former CP rail lines, so that the workers could travel to one building to the next without having to go outside. Drug and alcohol smuggling and gambling became very popular in the tunnels. The tunnels gave gangsters and other criminals like Al Capone, a famous gangster in the 1920s, a chance to hide from the law. Once prohibition came, not being able to sell alcohol, citizens of Moose Jaw claimed they saw Al Capone in Moose Jaw, although there is no evidence that he ever called Moose Jaw home for a bit. On St. Valentine's Day in 1929, the biggest mob hit in gang-related history was held in a Chicago, Illinois warehouse located 2122 North Clark Street at about 10:30 a.m., the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. 7 men associated with Chicago's North Side Gang were brutally shot and killed. It was believed that Al Capone was the one who arranged the shooting, although no charges were ever made. It was believed that Capone was trying to get rid of the Northside Gang's leader as a result of him hijacking Capone's whiskey that was brought to the United States through the Moose Jaw tunnels. Chinese immigrants were brought to Canada to help build the CP rail lines. As the number of Chinese entering Canada increased, the federal government charged a head tax. Chinese who were in Canada legally worked above ground, and the Chinese who were in Canada illegally worked in the tunnels. These immigrants worked in laundries, the burlap factories, assisted with gangsters with alcohol and drug smuggling and gambling. These Chinese immigrants also lived underground in the tunnels to escape prosecution from the government. On June 22, 2006, Prime Minister Stephen Harper apologized to all Chinese immigrants in Canada and offered compensation to Chinese immigrants and spouses who had proof that they paid the head tax. The proof came in the form of a certificate the immigrants received once the head tax was paid. This is Al Capone, one of the most famous gangsters from the 1920s. This is Moose Jaw's Main Street in the 1920s. And this is Main Street today. This is one of the head tax certificates that gave proof that a Chinese immigrant had once paid the head tax. I learned a lot throughout this report. I had heard about the Chinese head tax, but I never knew there was a racist fee that the Chinese had to pay to enter Canada. I hope you learned a lot throughout my presentation on the Moose Jaw tunnels.